The 100th NFL season is all coming down to this. The 49ers and the Chiefs in Super Bowl 54 in Miami on February 2nd. Johnny Talk Sports here to bring you my preview and predictions for Super Bowl 54. And right now, this game, it's really too close to call for me at this point, because right now the line is only at -1.5 in favor of the Chiefs, which in my opinion, this is pretty much a pick'em, because in my opinion, any line that's less than 2.5, pretty much a pick'em at that point. So I do want to point out that this is a rematch from week 3 in the regular season last year. And there is a couple things in that game that stuck out to me. And yes, I know that this is the game that Jimmy Garoppolo suffered his season-ending ACL injury last year. However, the Chiefs ended up winning the game 38-27. And the Chiefs were up 35-7 at one point in that game. However, the 49ers in the second half of that game, they were gaining a lot of momentum. They could have possibly came back in that game. They really could have, because the 49ers were outscoring the Chiefs 17-3 in the second half before Jimmy Garoppolo went down. And on that possession that he went down, the 49ers were in a position to make it a one-possession game, and with one more defensive stop, maybe they could have gotten the ball back and tied the game. Unfortunately, we'll never know, but something I just wanted to bring up. So anyway, keys to the game for the Kansas City Chiefs contain the 49ers ground attack. Raheem Mostert, Tevin Coleman, even Matt Breida. I imagine all three of these guys having a major impact in this game for the 49ers, especially Breida. I think Breida is going to surprisingly be the leading rusher in the game, because Breida had a big game against the Chiefs in the Week 3 matchup last year. Multiple times he was moving the chains for the 49ers ground attack in the game last year. So if Breida's in the game plan, this is a huge leg up for the 49ers in this matchup. Utilize Tyreek Hill, because Tyreek Hill, he is the most versatile player on the field, the fastest player on the field. So if he can get separation from these San Francisco corners, it could be a long evening for the 49ers secondary. And we've seen in the 2 games in the playoffs by the Chiefs that they have fallen behind early. However, they can't afford to be trailing by a significant amount of points early on in the game. 24-0, and came back to beat the Texans, outscoring them 51-7 after that, and coming back from a 10-point deficit against the Titans. This 49ers team is a different animal compared to those Texans and the Titans. So if the 49ers, they can get some early momentum, even taking the ball first and utilizing the running game, just bleed the clock early on, keep Pat Mahomes on the sidelines. That would be huge for the 49ers as well, for them to get early position in the game, to dictate the pace of the game that you want. I think the 49ers do that. I'd say they get the leg up in that matchup if they can bleed the clock out and keep Pat Mahomes on the sidelines. Kind of take a page out of the Titans playbook by taking your time with plays. Don't even snap it until there's 1 second left on the play clock, because that is your best chance to win. Your best offense is your best defense. So if the 49ers get Mostert involved in the game, ride the hot hand for this 49ers team, because we saw him put up 4 touchdowns and over 220 yards in the NFC Championship game against the Packers. The defense has to put pressure on Pat Mahomes, because if Pat Mahomes is given time in the pocket, we have seen time and time again what he's capable of with his ability to extend plays and lock down Kansas City's wide receivers. So those are the keys for the 49ers. So it is time for my prediction. But before I get to that, here is some meaningless prop bets. As far as the coin toss, I have the coin toss landing on heads. And for the first penalty flag of the game, I'm going with false start, probably on the second play of the game. And for the anytime touchdown, I'm going with Matt Breida, because I think he's going to have a huge game for the 49ers on Super Bowl Sunday. And the color Gatorade will be red, because realistically, why wouldn't it? Why would it not be red? And it's time for my prediction of who will win Super Bowl 54. Now, I have seen statements on Reddit all week about how this matchup reminds them of Super Bowl 48 between the Broncos and the Seahawks. Does it really? Because these are two completely different teams than what we're comparing to from a Super Bowl over 6 years ago. Because the Chiefs have more talented wide receivers. Well, not really more talented, but yeah, receivers with more talent than the Broncos receivers had that season, because they were being carried by Peyton Manning, and Peyton Manning was making them look good. And the 49ers defense, yes, it has been a good defense all season long, but it is nowhere near the Legion of Boom. Really, the only thing that's similar to that Legion of Boom defense that this 49ers defense has is Richard Sherman. So that's really the only thing that's the same with that Legion of Boom. And this doesn't remind me at all of Super Bowl 48. In fact, I'll say this right now. Don't expect it's going to be a blowout in either direction, because it won't. And also, don't expect this game to be decided by more than 14 points, because it won't. Now, what this Super Bowl reminds me of, what this matchup reminds me of, believe it or not, it's the national championship game this season between LSU and Clemson. Because we saw the explosive LSU offense take on the ferocious Clemson defense, and we saw LSU's offense just completely move the ball at will against that Clemson defense the later on the game went. And that ultimately is the reason why I am picking the Kansas City Chiefs to win Super Bowl 54. Realistically, I don't think this game's going to be necessarily as high scoring as anticipated. I don't think we're going to see a overwhelming score of 55-52. I think we're going to get a score in the range of 28-23. I think both defenses are going to rise to the occasion throughout this game, but ultimately, it's just really hard to pick against Pat Mahomes with what he has done so far in his career, and Kyle Shanahan will not get his redemption from Super Bowl 51. So the Kansas City Chiefs, in my opinion, will win Super Bowl 54 by a score of 28-23. I was really on the fence all week long. One day I thought the Chiefs were going to win. Then the next day I thought the 49ers were going to win. It just went back and forth until this very moment. Chiefs 28-23, locking it in.